Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Chaotic Entertainment. I'm your host, Daniel Clark, and today I've come with good news for a change. While we may be surrounded by an ever-growing tide of Puritans, prudes, cultural influencers, as well as anyone who works at Kotaku, we've recently had a proud victory on the side of anti-censorship. For those who have been smart enough to stay off of Twitter, there's been a bit of controversy on everyone's favorite bird app surrounding a game called Sense, a Cyberpunk Ghost story. The game is made by Top Hat Studios, a development team located in New York. The game itself came under fire from the usual hysterical invalids that you'll often see targeting games like this for daring to have scantily clad attractive women in it. For those who aren't aware of my stance on sexy depictions of women in video games, it can be summarized like this. If the bouncy booby pixels make you so uncomfortable that you feel the need to scream at someone and personally attack them, then you probably need to get over yourself and get some treatment for that butt hurt of yours. People like sexy video game characters. The market has shown us this. I get that not everyone does, and the brilliant thing about video games is you don't actually have to play them. I know it's a foreign concept, but not everything is tailored around your particular preferences. Part of adulthood is finding what you like and enjoying it, rather than kicking over Sally's sandcastle just because she dared to give it 3 towers instead of 4. However, let's get back to the main point of this video. It's all too common to see gaming companies come under fire for expressing an artistic vision by people with both too much time and self-importance. What's almost equally common is watching these companies buckle under the pressure and make the changes that the mob has demanded. Catherine did it with its re-release, Ion Fury caved for a little while, and even Dungeons & Dragons has recently pledged to change historical features and traits of their game to appease people screaming at them on Twitter. What's especially funny is whenever these companies make these changes, I never hear about the people who had a problem buying the product after getting their way. It's almost like they never actually cared about the game, and they just wanted to push their tastes and beliefs on something that didn't involve them for daring to be different. This is where Top Hat Studios comes in. In response to the several threats, insults, and even attempts to reach out to Nintendo to have them refuse to put the game on the Switch, the developers had this to say. We will not censor the game because of self-centered crowds who care solely about grandstanding. We categorically and absolutely refuse to restrict creative expression. We reject any and all of the aforementioned brazen characterizations of the game and would like to reiterate our principles against tampering with the creator's expressions. The game will not be censored. We categorically refuse. As you can see from the screenshot, I left out a lot there, but if you want to read the full statement, just go back and pause the video. Honestly, it's refreshing to see a company stand up to these people and tell them to collectively get bent. I've heard every argument on the planet about why having characters like the ones in Sense is wrong, immoral, or even harmful to women in some cases. When you listen to them, they typically seem to boil down to, I'm weak-willed and self-conscious, please don't enjoy this thing I can't relate to. What makes it even funnier is I know countless women who love seeing sexy characters in video games, so the argument that women hate this is more of a projection than a statement of fact. Now, I'd like to take a moment to discuss the game itself. First of all, it has several little gems hidden within it. There's a Count Dankula cameo, the main character references my earlier point of people demand change, then don't support the product afterward, which really just reached out and touched me somewhere special. Second of all, the graphics are fantastic. The presentation, the sound engineering, it all flows extremely well. The game is creepy and actually had me scared at several points, which most games fail to do. It doesn't rely on jump scares, but rather ambient horror as well as unnerving imagery that isn't just outright gore. The mood, the tone, the music, this game's presentation is absolutely on point. The story itself is quite good as well, finding ways to connect nearly everything by the ending. The puzzles are pretty decent as well. They were challenging, but not to the point of frustrating. A lot of them are very interesting and rely entirely on the player being able to string 2 and 2 together. That being said, the game isn't perfect. There are a few instant death traps that you can fall into, some of which have no warning to them. This wouldn't be a huge deal if it weren't for the fact that every time you die, you go back to your last save point. Saves in the game are limited, which means you can't risk experimenting or figuring out what does what without repeatedly backtracking. Combat in the game is pretty bare bones and can be a little frustrating as well, but it only makes up about 5% of the game, so you won't be dealing with it for the majority of the experience. Even with that in mind, I'd absolutely recommend it. It has new Game Plus modes, alternative endings you can unlock, and even an extra story mode that I'm currently playing through. The game is currently on Steam for $19.99, or your regional equivalent. Is the game worth the price tag? Honestly, I'd say yes. It's not a super long game, but it's definitely an experience. If you play it alone in the dark, it will absolutely get to you. Plus, you'll be supporting a company which stood against the cries for censorship and change, which is always a bit of a bonus. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Chaotic Entertainment. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked this video, please remember to leave a like and remember to subscribe. I'll see you all in the next video.